Lakini sisi kwa sisi kuzungumza katika hali ambayo kwamba tutaweza kuelewana.
Our sister Governor Chani.
From the time you came to Kwale for Mashujaa celebrations till today, our hotels are fully booked. Thank you, secretaries present, fellow governors, led by our chairman, Investment Conference. Congratulations, Governor, for the good work you are doing in Kilifi.
Governor Mng'aro amekuwa nayo kwa muda takriban mwaka mzima. Na mimi namshukuru.
Transportation along the coastal belt. Our intention to work with other government agencies, business tourism. This will attract international conferences, trade expos, and we are planning the construction of a cutting-edge healthcare facilities, including a level 6 Kaloleni, Your Excellency. This industrial hub will attract manufacturers and investors, creating thousands of jobs and transforming Kilifi into a center for industrial innovation and export-driven growth. Fisheries and aquaculture are unlocking the wealth for luxury and ecotourism. We are also actively empowering our youthful population. To our current partners, thank you for your confidence in this remarkable journey. Together, we can shape Kilifi into a beacon of opportunity, innovation, and shareness. Today, you will witness signing of Free-More and the launch of the employment with market-relevant instructions.
This will be transformative to the project, and we've created 4,000 jobs.
Here?
Yes, here within the ecosystem. Yes.
Our partner, right?
Yes.
Yes. Hello, how are you?
Very good. On the
Thank you.
SZ.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. We think of free trade zone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
2,000
Okay.
acres. Yeah.
2,000 acres.
2,000
Yeah.
acres.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought somebody told me it is 6,000, or you both phases.
The total is 6,000.
But you do it
In 2,000. Yeah.
2,000 modular.
Modular.
Yes.
Modular.
Okay.
It is now my pleasure to invite His Excellency, the Governor of
the shared values that we have. Obviously democracy, but it's also shared value in the very core belief.
every entrepreneur finds support and every citizen. In the house, we also have Joseph Dena and Mishimboko. This conference, ladies and gentlemen, is a testament of our intention to work within patent. Please allow me to invite a partner who call Mr. David Gosney, the Mission Director. I want to call on stage on their behalf Owen Bayer.
So many other areas, but our challenge is to capture that potential. Years since I've arrived here in Kenya, we've invested more than 770 government and critically the private sector that resides here as well. But obviously in allowing more and more Kenyans to realize that Kenyan dream. Thank you again for sharing today with us Asante jobs that they need, which is a $1 billion investment in the counties, including Kilifi and Mombasa.
A few remarks.
Of Kilifi County, Gideon Mungaro, distinguished guests, it's an honor and a privilege to be with investors. Your Excellency, on behalf of the lowest levels in several years, the currency has stabilized and interest rates are. President Trump telling him you can address his immigration issues. Those immigrants can come and work here.
To look at what we have and say we are not doing what we must be doing and move this country to the next. Many years we have talked about the squatter problem. I know you have a plan to solve it. I know the governor has a plan to solve this. And they used to say that if you want a lot of milk from a goat to transform this county, and I want to welcome the investors that are here. We want to give.
Have a minute to say something before I proceed. With your permission, Your Excellency. I'll start with the...
Hamjambo. Your Excellency, one, I take the opportunity to congratulate my brother.
More investment here in Kuala and across the board. That's why that effort alone has...
We have started something called Marlborough House Dialogues. These Marlborough House Dialogues are not announced in the press in big ways, but they are quiet conversations between countries undergoing difficult transitions and the possibility of implosion. And in the last few years, we have avoided 6 or 7 implosions or civil wars thanks to these dialogues. And how these dialogues began? Thanks to Kenya. When we were approaching 2021 and the environment for elections was becoming very tense and very heated, we invited President Ruto and the opposition leader, well, then former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, to dialogue in Marlborough House. And they committed themselves with their teams to accept the results of elections and to go to court if there was a dispute. And the environment and the tensions in Kenya really lowered, and this is what happened. And whenever we find a country in a situation of disruption, tension, and possible implosion, we tell them, look at Kenya. How Kenya went through a democratic transition from government to opposition several times in peaceful times. And it's amazing. Countries look at us. There are very many success stories that we could mention in Africa. Recently in Botswana, for example, they had a very peaceful election, peaceful transition. No one believed what had happened could happen. And again, we told them, look at Kenya, it's possible, and it happened. Kenya is such a light in East Africa, we cannot afford to lose it or destroy it. And as Cicero used to say, the wise are instructed by reason, ordinary minds by experience, the stupid by necessity, brutes by instincts. Kenya, in its diplomatic policy, has been guided by wisdom, and we hope it continues to be so. And I'm sure it will be so because there is so much talent, and so much talent in this room. This will be the case with the help of all our international partners and with the help of the amazing talents we find in the government of Kenya, in opposition, in academia, in civil society, everywhere where you look at Kenya, you see talent. And this is why they do so well in international organizations and in the interviews. They accuse some of us of filling them up with Kenyans. Well, education has done a great job and they really outshine the other countries. In the Commonwealth, we have that bias.
And friends, through 60 years, Kenya's strong engagement has remained entirely guided by these principles within the UN. Kenya has been a proud, courageous, leading voice in support of multilateralism, pushing to find shared solutions to shared problems. And thank you deeply for this. But as I say that, and P.S., to pick up on your point about reform, let me also stress that only 18 years before Kenya's adherence to the United Nations, at the organization's birth in June 1945, only 51 of today's 193 member states were at the table in San Francisco to craft the new architecture of multilateralism. And today, too much power, too many processes and procedures within the United Nations still reflect yesterday's realities, not today's, and still less tomorrow's. And so, as today's Secretary General Antonio Guterres recently said, and again I quote, "We cannot create a future fit for our grandchildren with a system built for our grandparents." So because of Kenya's deep trust in multilateralism, you've also been a leading voice calling for reforms, for a UN more fit for purpose, and so that countries like Kenya enjoy that equal voice that the United Nations Charter envisages. Let me assure you that Kenya's important role in the United Nations is recognized at the highest levels. It was no coincidence, I think, that earlier this year, Kenya was asked to host the Global Civil Society Organization conference in the lead-up to the Summit of the Future. And it was also, I think, no accident that Kenya was one of two countries, along with my home country of Ireland, that crafted together the joint Sustainable Development Goals and got them across the line in the General Assembly in 2015, just to highlight a few very proud joint moments. Let me very quickly highlight three thematic areas which I think have been enormously important to Kenya's diplomacy within the United Nations: upholding peace and security, strengthening gender equality, and fighting the climate emergency. On peace and security, Kenya's commitment to regional, global peace and security have been absolutely remarkable. This was evident through your two successful tenures on the United Nations Security Council. And I could easily spend an hour highlighting examples of Kenya's critical council interventions. Let me highlight just two. The first is the standout moment from the 21st of February 2022 in the Extraordinary Security Council meeting on the situation in Ukraine. And let me quote Ambassador Martin Kimani, my brother, from his entirely historic intervention. He said, "Kenya, and almost every African country, was birthed by the ending of the empire. Our borders were not of our own drawing. At independence, had we chosen to pursue states on the basis of ethnic, regional, or religious homogeneity, we would still be waging bloody wars these many decades later. And instead, we agreed that we would settle for the borders that we inherited, but we would still pursue continental, political, economic, and legal integration. We chose to follow the rules of the OAU and the United Nations Charter, not because our borders satisfied us, but because we wanted something greater, forged in peace."